The war had lasted 60 cycles. Nobody remembered exactly how it started anymore. The old ones said it began with a trade dispute. Others said it was territory. Some whispered it was simply pride. But none of that mattered now. What mattered was that billions had died, and billions more would follow. The Galactic Assembly held its emergency meeting on Station Prime, a massive structure floating in neutral space. Representatives from 7 species sat around a curved table made of black stone. Their faces showed exhaustion. Their bodies carried the weight of decades of failure. High Commander Brex of the Quill species clicked his mandibles in frustration. His insect-like body was covered in battle scars. He had lost 3 of his 6 arms in different battles over the years. Each missing limb reminded him of friends who had not survived. "We cannot continue like this," he said. His voice was sharp, like metal scraping against metal. "Our fleets are broken. Our worlds are burning. The Valkyrie Empire grows stronger while we grow weaker." Beside him, a being made of flowing water, contained in a transparent suit, nodded slowly. This was Elder Moss of the Morn, an ancient species that lived in the deep oceans of their homeworld. "The High Commander speaks truth," Moss said. "My people have given everything. We have nothing left to give." Around the table, the other representatives murmured in agreement. The crystalline Thesa hummed with a sad frequency. The fur-covered Banthy lowered their great heads. The floating gas beings called the Ven dimmed their inner light. Hope had become a stranger to them all. It was at this moment that the door to the council chamber opened. A human woman walked in. She was small by the standards of most species present. She stood perhaps 1.5 meters tall. Her hair was black and pulled back in a simple style. Her skin was a warm brown, and her eyes were dark and calm. She wore a simple gray uniform with no decorations, no medals, no signs of rank. Behind her walked a human man. He was older, perhaps in his 6th decade of life. Gray hair touched his temples. He wore common clothes, nothing special at all. He walked with his hands clasped behind his back, looking around the room with quiet curiosity. That was all. 2 humans. No guards. No soldiers. No weapons that anyone could see. High Commander Brex rose from his seat, his remaining arms spreading wide in disbelief. "What is this?" he demanded. "We asked the human government for military assistance. We asked for their fleets, their armies, their weapons. And they send us this?" The woman bowed slightly. Her movements were graceful and unhurried. "I am Ambassador Yuna," she said. "I speak for Earth and all human territories. I am here to end your war." Laughter erupted from several delegates. It was not kind laughter. It was the laughter of desperate beings who had just been told a joke they did not find funny. "End our war?" Elder Moss rippled with amusement. "Child, this war has consumed 100 star systems. It has killed more beings than your entire species numbers. How do you propose to end it?" Yuna smiled. It was a patient smile, the kind a teacher might give to a confused student. "By talking," she said simply. More laughter. Louder this time, but the man behind Yuna did not laugh. He did not smile. He simply stood there, watching, waiting. His eyes moved from face to face, studying each alien delegate with a focus that was almost uncomfortable. "High Commander." Brex pointed one of his remaining arms at the man. "And who is this? Your bodyguard? Your general? Some legendary warrior of your species?" "This is Taiwu," Yuna said. "He is a retired teacher." Silence fell over the chamber. Not the silence of respect, but the silence of confusion. "A teacher," Brex repeated slowly. "You bring a teacher to a war council." "He taught history," Yuna continued, "and physical education. At a middle school. He retired 3 years ago." The Thesa delegate made a sound like breaking glass. It was their way of expressing complete disbelief. "This is an insult," the crystalline being said. "Humanity mocks us in our darkest hour." Una shook her head. "We do not mock you. We understand your suffering. Humanity has known war since we first learned to pick up stones and throw them. We have burned our own cities. We have killed our own brothers. We know what you are feeling right now, this moment, when hope seems lost and the darkness seems endless." She paused, letting her words settle. "But we also know something else. We know that the strongest weapon is not always the biggest. We know that the most dangerous being is not always the one with the most armor. And we know that wars are not won only by armies." Commander Breck sat back down slowly. Despite his frustration, something in the human woman's voice made him listen. There was a certainty there, a confidence that seemed out of place given the situation. "The Valkyrie are sending their own delegation," he said finally. "They arrive within the hour. They have demanded we surrender unconditionally. If we refuse, they will resume their attacks on our remaining worlds." Una nodded. "Good. I will speak with them." "They will kill you," Elder Moss warned. "The Valkyrie do not negotiate. They do not discuss. They only destroy." For the first time, the retired teacher named Taiwu spoke. His voice was quiet, calm, and somehow it filled the entire room. "They are welcome to try," he said, and something in the way he said it made every being in that room feel a small chill run through their bodies. It was a feeling they did not understand. It was a feeling humanity's prey had known for millions of years. Thought it was the feeling of being watched by something patient, thought something dangerous, something human. The Valkyrie arrived exactly on time. Their shuttle was a thing of nightmares, all sharp angles and dark metal, looking more like a weapon than a vehicle. It landed in the docking bay with a sound like thunder, and when its doors opened, the temperature in the room seemed to drop. 7 Valkyrie warriors stepped out. Each one stood over 3 meters tall. Their bodies were covered in natural armor, a bioorganic plating that grew from their own flesh. Their hands ended in claws that could cut through steel like paper. Their eyes were the color of blood, and they held no warmth, no mercy, no kindness. At their head walked their leader. His name was Keth, and he was the most feared warrior in the known galaxy. He had personally killed over 10,000 enemies in battle. His armor was decorated with the bones of his victims. When he walked, the floor shook beneath his weight. The assembly delegates had gathered in the main hall to receive them. Most of them stood as far back as possible. Even High Commander Brex, who had fought the Valkyrie for decades, felt fear crawling up his spine. But Ambassador Una stood at the front of the room. She did not step back. She did not look afraid. She simply waited with her hands folded in front of her. Taiwu stood beside her, slightly behind. He looked almost bored, like a man waiting for a bus that was running late. Keth stopped in front of Una. He towered over her like a mountain over a pebble. His hot breath washed over her face. His claws clicked together in a gesture of contempt. "So," he said, his voice like stones grinding together, "the assembly has brought new servants to beg for mercy. What species are you, little creature? I do not recognize your kind." "I am human," Una said. Her voice did not shake. "Ambassador Una of Earth. I am here to negotiate peace." Keth laughed. It was a terrible sound, like something dying slowly. "Peace? There will be no peace. There will only be surrender, complete and total. The assembly will give us everything, and perhaps we will let some of them live as slaves." "That is not acceptable," Una said calmly. The laughter stopped. Keth leaned down, bringing his massive face close to Una's. His breath smelled of blood and metal. "Not acceptable? Little creature, you do not seem to understand your position. You have no power here. You have no fleet. You have no army." His eyes moved to Taiwu. You have one old man who looks like he should be resting in a care facility. Taiwu tilted his head slightly. I am 63, he said. That is not so old for a human. Keth straightened up. What is this? The assembly sends an old human to face the might of the Velthari Empire. Is this supposed to frighten me? He turned to his warriors. Perhaps we should teach these humans what happens to species who waste our time. He gestured with one massive claw. Kill him. Let his death be humanity's answer to our generous offer. 3 Velthari warriors stepped forward. They were each nearly twice Taiwu's height and probably 10 times his weight. Their claws extended, gleaming in the light. Their muscles tensed, ready to strike. Yuna did not move to protect them. She did not call for guards. She simply stepped aside, as if making room for what was about to happen. The assembly delegates held their breath. Some looked away, not wanting to see the old human torn apart. The first Velthari attacked. He was fast, incredibly fast for his size. His claw swept toward Taiwu's head with enough force to shatter concrete. It was a killing blow, meant to end the fight before it began. But Taiwu was not there. He hadn't moved, not jumped, not dodged dramatically. He had simply stepped to the side, as casual as a man avoiding a puddle on the street. The Velthari's claw cut through empty air. Before the warrior could recover, Taiwu moved again. He stepped inside the creature's reach, into the space where its claws could not touch him. His hand came up, open palm, and struck the Velthari's chest. It did not look like a hard hit. It looked gentle, almost, like a man pushing open a door. But the Velthari's armor cracked. The massive warrior made a sound like air escaping from a balloon. His eyes went wide with shock. Then he fell, unconscious, before he hit the ground. The second and third warriors attacked together. They had seen what happened to their companion. They would not make the same mistake. They came from opposite sides, leaving Taiwu no room to escape. Taiwu did not try to escape. He caught the second warrior's arm and redirected its force. The creature stumbled, carried forward by its own momentum. Taiwu helped it along with a small push. It crashed into the third warrior, and both went down in a tangle of limbs and armor. Before they could rise, Taiwu was on them. His hands moved to specific points on their bodies, pressing, squeezing. The warriors twitched once, twice, then went still. 3 Velthari elite warriors. 3 of the most dangerous beings in the galaxy. All of them lay on the ground, defeated in seconds. Taiwu straightened his clothes. There was not a single mark on him. He was not breathing hard. He did not look tired or excited or proud. He looked exactly as he had before the fight started. My apologies, he said quietly to Keth. They startled me. I reacted on instinct. They are not dead, only sleeping. They will wake up in a few hours with headaches. The remaining 4 Velthari warriors had drawn their weapons. Energy blades hummed in their hands, but they did not attack. They could not move. Something ancient was holding them in place. An instinct that went deeper than training, deeper than courage. It was the instinct that every prey animal has when it realizes it is being hunted by something it cannot defeat. Fear, pure, primal fear. Keth stood frozen. His blood-red eyes were fixed on the old human who'd just done the impossible. His mind was trying to process what he had seen and failing. What? He managed to say, "What are you?" Taiwu looked up at him. His expression was still calm, still patient. But there was something in his eyes now. Something that made Keth, the most feared warrior in the galaxy, want to take a step backward. I told you, Taiwu said. I am a retired teacher. The silence in the room was absolute. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The only sound was the quiet breathing of the old human who had just changed everything. Nobody in the room moved for a long time. The 3 unconscious Velthari lay on the ground like fallen trees. The remaining 4 warriors stood with their weapons drawn, but did not dare to use them. Warlord Keth stared at Taiwu with an expression that mixed confusion with something he had not felt in many years: fear. Real fear. Hi. Commander Brax was the first of the assembly delegates to break the silence. His mandibles clicked slowly as he tried to find words. How? He finally asked. How is this possible? The Velthari are the strongest warriors in the galaxy. Their armor can stop plasma fire. Their reflexes are enhanced by genetic engineering. And this human defeated them without effort, Elder Moss finished. The water being's form rippled with amazement. I have lived for 300 cycles. I have never seen anything like this. Ambassador Yuna stepped forward. She moved with the same calm confidence she had shown since arriving. If she was surprised by what Taiwu had done, she did not show it. Perhaps now you will listen, she said to the room. Her voice was gentle, but carried to every corner. Perhaps now you will understand why humanity sent one teacher instead of an army. She touched the device on her wrist. The air above the center of the room flickered and came alive with images. Holographic pictures appeared, showing scenes from a world that none of the aliens had ever visited. Earth. This is our home, Yuna said. A small planet in an unremarkable star system. When humans first evolved, we were not the strongest species. We were not the fastest. We did not have claws or armor or venom. We were soft, weak, easily killed. The images showed early humans. Small creatures covered in hair, using simple stone tools. Around them prowled massive predators with sharp teeth and powerful bodies. But we survived, Yuna continued. Not because we were strong, but because we refused to die. The images changed. They showed humans running for hours, running for days, following animals that were faster than them, chasing prey that should have escaped easily. We are what you might call persistence predators, Yuna explained. Our ancestors did not catch their food with speed. They followed it. They tracked it. They chased it until the animal's heart gave out from exhaustion. Most species run until they are safe. Humans run until the hunt is over. Keth's claws twitched. This information disturbed him in ways he could not explain. The images shifted again. Wolves appeared on the screen. Great, fierce creatures with sharp teeth and intelligent eyes. We saw the wolves hunting near our camps, Yuna said. They were apex predators, the masters of their territory. They should have been our enemies, but instead, we made them our friends. Pictures of humans and dogs together, playing, hunting, living side by side. We tamed them not through force, but through patience. We were more stubborn than they were, more persistent. Over many generations, we turned wild killers into loyal companions. They became dogs, and they loved us as we loved them. The crystalline Thesa made a sound of disbelief. You dominated an apex predator through patience alone? We did not dominate them, Yuna corrected gently. We partnered with them. There's a difference. Humans do not seek to rule. We seek to coexist. But when coexistence is not possible, she paused. We adapt. More images. Humans climbing mountains so tall that the air itself became thin and deadly. Humans diving into crushing ocean depths. Humans walking in frozen wastelands where nothing should survive. Our planet is what some species call a death world, Yuna said. The gravity is strong. The predators are many. The climate is harsh and unpredictable. 70% of our surface is covered in water we cannot breathe. And yet, we have spread to every corner of our world. We live in the hottest deserts and the coldest ice. We swim in our oceans and climb our tallest peaks. She looked directly at Keth. And when our world was not enough, We built machines to carry us beyond it. We walked on the surface of our moon. We sent our ships to other planets. We reached for the stars. The final images showed something that made even Warlord Keth take a small step backward. They showed humans in war, fighting each other with weapons that destroyed cities, surviving wounds that should have killed them, getting back up when they should have stayed down. Humans have been fighting since we first learned to make fists, Yuna said. We have fought over land, over resources, over ideas, over nothing at all. We have invented more ways to kill each other than any species in the galaxy. And through all of it, we have learned one thing above all others. She let the silence stretch for a moment. We learned that our greatest weapon is not our fists or our guns or our ships. Our greatest weapon is our ability to endure, to suffer, to break and heal stronger than before. She gestured toward Taiwu. This man is not special. He is not enhanced. He has no genetic modifications, no cybernetic improvements, no supernatural abilities. He is simply a human who practiced martial arts as a hobby. A hobby, do you understand? Something he did for fun after teaching children all day. Taiwu stood quietly, his hands still clasped behind his back. He looked like someone's grandfather, someone who should be sitting in a comfortable chair reading books, not standing in a room full of alien warriors. Our soldiers train for years, Yuna continued. Our special forces train for decades. They are taken to the limits of human endurance and pushed beyond. They learn to fight in any environment, against any enemy, under any conditions. They do not stop when they are tired. They do not stop when they are hurt. They do not stop until the mission is complete or their hearts stop beating. High Commander Brex spoke carefully. You are saying this teacher is not even a soldier? He is not, Yuna confirmed. He taught history to children. He coached their sports teams. On weekends, he practiced martial arts at a local gym. That is all. That is all. She smiled softly. Imagine what our actual soldiers can do. The room fell silent again. Every being present was doing the same calculation in their heads. If one retired teacher could defeat 3 Veltri elite in seconds, what could a trained human warrior do? What could 1,000 of them do? What can 1,000,000? The answer was terrifying. Warlord Keth looked at his remaining warriors. He saw the fear in their eyes. He knew that same fear was now in his own. Why? He asked finally. His voice had lost some of its confidence. Why are you telling us this? Why show us your strength if not to threaten us? Yuna's smile faded. Her expression became serious. Because we do not want to fight you, she said. We have spent our entire history fighting each other. We know what war does to civilizations. We have seen our own cities burn. We have buried our own children. We carry the scars of 10,000 wars on our collective soul. She took a step toward Keth, showing no fear of his massive form. We came to the stars hoping to find something better. Partners, friends, beings who could teach us new ways of thinking and living. We did not come to conquer. We did not come to rule. We came because we were curious and because we hoped we were not alone in the universe. Her eyes met Keth's. Human eyes meeting alien eyes. Small meeting large. Soft meeting hard. We want peace, Yuna said. That is why we sent a diplomat and a teacher. Not to threaten you, but to show you what we are capable of. And then to ask you to choose a different path. She held out her hand, palm up in the human gesture of offering. Choose peace. Warlord Keth, not because you fear us, but because war helps no one. Your people are tired. The assembly is tired. Let it end here. Let it end now. Keth looked at her hand. Such a small hand. Such a fragile-looking thing. But he had seen what human hands could do. Warlord Keth, did not take the offered hand. Not yet. His mind was spinning like a ship caught in a gravity well, pulled in directions he did not want to go. He had come to this station expecting to accept a surrender. He had expected to see the assembly delegates crawling before him, begging for mercy. Instead, he had watched 3 of his best warriors fall to an old man who taught children for a living. His pride screamed at him to fight, to order his remaining warriors forward, to tear this small human apart and prove that the Velthari were still the strongest. But another part of him, a deeper part, whispered a different message. If you attack, you will lose. And losing here means losing everything. You speak of peace, Keth said slowly. His voice was still rough, still dangerous, but quieter now. But peace has a price. It always does. What do the humans want in return? Ambassador Yuna lowered her hand, showing no offense at the rejection. We want very little, she said. We want the fighting to stop. We want the occupied worlds to be returned to their original species. We want a fair agreement for trade and travel between all parties. And we want a seat on the Galactic Assembly, so our voice can be heard in future discussions. High Commander Brex leaned forward. That is all? You ask for no territory, no payment, no revenge for what the Velthari have done. We ask for peace, Yuna repeated. True peace, not just a pause in the fighting. Peace that will last because it is fair, not because one side is too weak to resist. Keth's claws clicked together. It was a sign of deep thought among his people. And if we refuse? If we return to our ships and continue the war? Taiwu spoke for the first time since the fight. His voice was calm and quiet, but it carried across the room. May I tell you something, Warlord Keth? Keth looked at the old human. Despite everything that had happened, despite the fear that now lived in his chest, he found himself curious. Speak, teacher. Taiwu walked forward a few steps. He moved like water flowing, each step smooth and natural. I have a daughter. Her name is June. She is 11 years old. He smiled, and for a moment he looked like any proud father in the galaxy. She is bright, full of energy, full of dreams. She wants to be an astronaut when she grows up. She wants to see other worlds, meet other species, learn about the universe. His smile faded slightly. I came here because I want her to grow up in a galaxy at peace. I want her to explore the stars without fear. I want her to meet beings like you and the assembly members, and I want her to see you as friends, not enemies. He stopped walking. He was now only a few meters from Keth. The size difference between them was almost funny. The great Velthari warlord towering over the small human teacher. But if you threaten her future, Taiwu said, and his voice changed. It became harder, colder. If you come to our worlds with weapons raised, if you try to hurt our children, if you force us to defend ourselves. He looked up at Keth, and his eyes held something that made the warlord's blood run cold. There are 8 billion humans on Earth. We have been fighting each other for 10,000 years. We have invented weapons that can burn cities in seconds, that can poison the air and water, that can end civilizations in hours. We have soldiers who train their entire lives for war. We have scientists who create new ways to kill with the same passion that others use to create art. Taiwu's voice remained calm, almost gentle. I am a retired teacher who practiced martial arts as a hobby. I am 63 years old. I have bad knees and worse eyesight. I am nothing special among my people. You let that sink in. Our soldiers are not like me. They are faster, stronger, better trained. They have fought in deserts and jungles and frozen mountains. They have faced death many times and kept fighting. They do not show mercy to those who threaten their families. He tilted his head. You have 7 warriors left. We have millions like them. Billions who could be trained if needed. We do not want war, Warlord Keth, but we are very, very good at it. The silence stretched. Keth's remaining warriors had not moved. Their weapons were still drawn, but their hands were shaking now. They had heard the words. They understood the message. One of the Velthri warriors, younger than the others, spoke. Warlord, perhaps we should listen. Perhaps. Silence, Keth growled. But there was no real anger in his voice. He was thinking, calculating, weighing his options. The assembly delegates watched with held breath. This was the moment. Everything depended on what happened in the next few seconds. Finally, Keth looked at Ambassador Yuna. You truly want peace? Not dominance? Not submission? Yuna nodded. We want to be partners. Equals. We want to learn from you as much as we want to teach. The galaxy is large enough for all of us. Keth looked at his fallen warriors, still unconscious on the floor. He looked at Taiwu, the old teacher who had defeated them with the ease of someone brushing aside annoying insects. He looked at his own warriors, brave Velthri soldiers, who were now trembling with fear. And then he did something that no one expected. He laughed odd. It was not his earlier, cruel laughter. This was different. This was the laughter of a soldier who had finally found an opponent worthy of respect. The laughter of a being who had lived for war and was now seeing another path for the first time. Humans, he said, shaking his great head. You are strange creatures. So small, so soft. And yet, he looked at Taiwu with something that might have been admiration. You defeat our warriors with gentle hands, then offer us friendship instead of death. You show us your teeth, then ask us to share a meal. He laughed again. I do not understand you, but perhaps that is the point. He turned to his warriors. Stand down, he ordered. Put away your weapons. The warriors obeyed, relief visible on their faces. Keth turned back to Yuna. I will need to consult with my emperor. This decision is not mine alone to make, but I will recommend peace. I will tell him what I have seen here today, and I will tell him that war with the humans would be. He searched for the right word. Unwise. Yuna smiled. That is all we ask. A chance to talk. A chance to find a better way. She extended her hand again. This time, Keth looked at it for a long moment. Then, slowly, carefully, he reached out with one massive claw and touched her palm. It was not a handshake, not exactly, but it was a beginning. I have killed many beings in my life, Keth said quietly, so that only Yuna could hear. I have never regretted it. War is what I am, what I was made for. He paused, his blood-red eyes meeting her dark ones. But today, I am glad I did not have to kill you, or be killed by your teacher. Yuna's smile widened just a little. So are we, Warlord. So are we. The treaty was signed 3 days later. It was not a quick process. There were arguments and negotiations and long discussions that stretched through many hours. The Velthri Empire had to consult with their emperor, who at first refused to believe the reports he received. He sent more warriors to verify the stories. They came, they watched recordings of what had happened, and they returned home with fear in their hearts. The emperor was wise enough to recognize when the wind had changed direction. The assembly delegates worked with Ambassador Yuna to create a fair agreement. Territory that had been taken was returned. Prisoners from both sides were released. Trade routes were established. A new council seat was created for humanity. On the day the treaty was signed, the Great Hall of Station Prime was filled with beings from dozens of species. They had come to witness history, to see the moment when 60 cycles of war finally ended. High Commander Brex stood at the center of the room, his remaining arms holding the treaty document. Beside him stood Warlord Keth, looking uncomfortable in ceremonial robes instead of armor. And between them stood Ambassador Yuna, small and calm and smiling. Taiwu watched from the side of the room. He had refused a place of honor at the ceremony. He was not a diplomat or a warrior, he said. He was just a teacher who happened to be in the right place at the right time. Jine, Yuna's assistant, stood beside him. She was a young woman, barely 25, with curious eyes and a quick mind. "Does it feel strange?" she asked quietly. "To have changed history?" Taiwo shook his head. "I did not change anything. Ambassador Yuna changed things. The delegates changed things. Even Warlord Keth changed things by choosing to listen instead of fight." He smiled at her. "I just helped them see that there was a choice." The signing ceremony was simple. Each representative placed their mark on the document, a commitment that their people would honor the peace. When it was done, High Commander Brex raised the treaty high. "Let it be known throughout the galaxy," he announced, his voice carrying to every corner of the room. "The war between the Galactic Assembly and the Velthari Empire is ended. From this day forward, we are no longer enemies. We are partners in a new era of peace." Cheering erupted from the crowd. Beings who had spent decades fighting each other embraced. Old enemies became new friends. The sound of celebration filled the station and echoed out into the stars. Later, when the crowds had thinned and the noise had faded, Yuna found Taiwu standing by a window. He was looking out at the stars, his expression thoughtful. "You could have stayed for the celebration," she said, joining him at the window. "You are a hero, whether you admit it or not." Taiwu shook his head. "Heroes fight great battles and do incredible things. I simply showed some aliens what a human can do, and they made the smart choice." He smiled slightly. "If they had been foolish enough to continue fighting, I would not have been enough to stop them. You know that." Yuna nodded. "I know. That is why I asked for you specifically. Not because you could win a war alone, but because you could show them what they would face if war continued. You are not a weapon, Taiwu. You are a message." "A message," he repeated, considering the word. "I suppose I can accept that." They stood in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the stars. Somewhere out there, ships were already returning to their home worlds carrying news of peace. Families who had been separated by war would soon be reunited. Children would grow up without the shadow of violence over their heads. "What will you do now?" Yuna asked. "Return to Earth? Find another school to teach at?" Taiwu thought about it. "Perhaps. But my daughter has been asking me to take her on a trip. She wants to see other worlds, other species. She wants to understand the galaxy that will be her home." He turned to Yuna. "I think I will take her to meet the Morn first. She has always loved the ocean. And perhaps after that, we will visit the Quill homeworld. She is fascinated by insects." Yuna laughed softly. "You have made friends with beings who were our enemies an hour ago. The Assembly will love having human tourists." "Not tourists," Taiwu corrected gently. "Neighbors. We are all neighbors now." Outside the window, a ship departed from the station. It was a Velthari vessel carrying Warlord Keth back to his empire. But before it left, it flew past the window where Taiwu and Yuna stood. For just a moment, the ship dipped its wings, a gesture of respect among pilots across many species. Taiwu raised his hand in acknowledgement. The war that had lasted 60 cycles, that had killed billions and destroyed countless worlds, ended not with a final battle. It ended with a conversation, a demonstration, a choice. Years later, when historians wrote about this moment, they would struggle to explain how one retired teacher had helped bring peace to the galaxy. Some said he was a legendary warrior in disguise. Others said he had secret powers that humans hid from other species. A few even claimed he was not human at all, but something else entirely. But those who were there knew the truth. Taiwu was exactly what he claimed to be. A retired teacher who had practiced martial arts as a hobby. A grandfather who loved his daughter and wanted her to grow up in a peaceful galaxy. An ordinary human who showed the universe what ordinary humans could do. And that, perhaps, was the most frightening thing of all. Because if an ordinary human could defeat Veltari elite warriors without effort, if a retired teacher could help end a galactic war, if a single small being from a small planet could change the course of history, what else were humans capable of? The galaxy was about to find out. But that is a story for another time. For now, there was peace. There was hope. There was a retired teacher watching the stars with a smile on his face, thinking about his daughter and the adventures they would share. And somewhere on Earth, a young girl named June looked up at the night sky. She did not know yet what her father had done. She only knew that he had promised to take her to see the stars. She could not wait.